camaraderie, that people working in a cube, only caring about themselves every day, working a 9 to 5, and then getting home to watch American Idol, they don't get that. And you feel really, really privileged to have the opportunity to kind of experience the world in this just ultimate way. And I think that it's the best drug in the world. And I think that when you have it, you realize that there's so much more life to be lived, and there's so much more good to be done, and that you are obligated to do it, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun to do it as well. So I think you do it once or twice and you're hooked.
So why Haiti and why Detroit?
Oh man, because they're my favorite places in the world. So Haiti, I visited there when I was in high school, and there's just no place like Haiti for sure. The people there are kind, and they're warm, and they're sweet, and they're so happy, and Haiti is beautiful, and they're hardworking, and they're, they just need someone to care, and they need someone to care in a sustainable way. Same exact thing with Detroit. Same with Detroit. I love Detroit. I grew up a couple hours outside Detroit. Detroit's a beautiful city. The architecture is the best. I'm in love with the city. I think Detroit is important because it's the city upon which the rest of the country was built, and we're letting it implode. And so I guess that's why I feel really strongly to save it.
So you're interested in Detroit as a domestic product, for your philanthropy, but a lot of other people have given up on Detroit. What makes you go in and say, I'm not giving up on Detroit, when so many other people, including a lot of community leaders in Detroit, have said, forget it?
I mean, who cares? I think it's just who cares what there's they just don't even know what they're talking about. I think they have given up, but I think when you stop being concerned about what other people are doing, you start having the best life ever. I think I stopped being concerned what other people were doing, maybe when I was 6 or something. And you start just realizing that you should be stoked on what you're doing, and you should be happy. And if you think it's a good idea, then you should go for it. And I think I'm in love with Detroit, and I think I can do something really, really fantastic there. And I think that's why I'm really fixated on it. And I'm a really hard worker, and I think a lot of people just give up really easy. So maybe that's another.
When you're starting a charter school in Detroit, okay, now what is your background in education? What do you know about education?
I know nothing about education.
All right, so why are you into that? Why do you think you can pull it off? Okay,
so I always say that I know enough to know that I know nothing about education. And I know that, I know I'm a really hard worker, and I know I'm really smart, and I know I have a lot of really well-connected friends. My co-founder is the son of the CEO of Whole Foods. He's a fantastic natural foods entrepreneur himself, and we both think that we can put the right people in place, and we can inject enough caring and motivation and excitement to really reinvigorate the city. And I don't know why we think we can do it, but Detroit Public Schools are pretty excited about it. So.
Well, good luck. Somebody's got to do it.
Thanks.
Now, your apparel industry, is environmentally responsible. All organic products and whatnot, and I know you're committed to the environment. But is part of your marketing strategy also promoting this notion that you're environmentally sound? Does that help you from a marketing and media standpoint as well?
Yeah, we always said that we would never, and I don't think we do, I would never consider our stance on the environment and our business model to have ever been intended to market. I think how I look at it is a lot of companies pay press to spin the story. They pay PR agents to spin the story. They pay PR agents to tell a different story. And I think what our standpoint has always been is that the truth is our best tool. So when we are very transparent, we talk about our highs, our lows, we say, hey, listen, customers, you're really mad at us because we are sold out of this garment and we told you we weren't, and we're getting really nasty emails and we're getting phone calls. We're completely transparent about the kind of struggles that go along with the environmental component of our company and the socially responsible component of our company. So it's definitely a double-edged sword. So we're very open and honest about it, and that comes with a lot of good press, and it also comes with some, I guess it's never been bad, but it definitely has drawbacks as well.
So if you were exploiting the organic, natural approach just for pure marketing purposes, you think it wouldn't work?
I think it would work. I think it would work fantastically, and I think it does work all the time. Yeah, but we don't do it. We would never.
Okay. Let me go on to another part of the marketing thing, because in the article in the DePauw magazine, it talked about how mom bloggers helped spread the word about your organization, your company, and that in a sense they kind of help generate this marketing momentum for you on the internet. What can we learn about that in terms of the media world and the way technology can move an industry?
Yeah, I think what we can learn is that it's really important to stay flexible. So the backstory to that is just that when I opened my doors for business, I was like, man, my product is so awesome. It's so genius. People are gonna just be beating down our doors to get it. And they weren't, of course, obviously. And so I was sitting on a bunch of inventory and I thought, no one even knows about us. What's the best way of doing it? So rather than do what a lot of companies do and take out a $5,000 magazine ad and go out of business because they can't pay that bill, I said, oh gosh, I'm just gonna reach out to a bunch of bloggers that have readerships of everywhere from 2 to 2 million and say, hey, listen, we'll send you some of our stuff for your kids, tell your readers about it. If you want to, we'll give away a free piece for you, for one of your readers. And so they did, and that's definitely where we got our momentum. But to answer your question, I think what it says is that you should stay really savvy and really flexible, because it can save you a lot of money or it can force you out of business if you're not. And it's the same with social media with a company. So whether the company themselves are tweeting and Facebooking and really engaging with their customers on every potential facet, I think it's a make it or break it sort of component to a company nowadays.
Now, the children's apparel you sell is more expensive than if somebody just goes into Target or Walmart and grabs something off the rack for their kid. How do you convince people, from a marketing or advertising strategy, that it's worth the extra investment? That is
what I struggle with most every single day. I really don't like that our stuff is at a higher price point, and we work really hard. On our first anniversary, most companies say, you raise prices, you increase your margins, you add value. On our first anniversary of our online store, we lowered prices because I said, that's been our mission from day one, is to make it accessible for everyone, to make everyone be able to have access to the highest quality clothing on the market, which we are. And so what we do is we'll do as many really, really low sales as we can, to where people who are engaged with us and following us really closely will be able to stock up on really, really low prices. We don't do a pitch that addresses our price point. We kind of just say, here's what we are. If that's something you're interested in paying for, if that's something you stand behind, then do it. And if not, check our sale bin and you'll find some great stuff that we've marked down just for the reason of kind of increasing access.
By the way, it's about time for questions, so if you've got something in mind, get ready to approach the microphone. But I wanted to go back for just a second. You talked about the Teach for America application you did, and that it didn't happen for you. I'm sure that was tough at the time. In retrospect, looking back, what did you learn from that difficulty, other than that you had a chance to put it in the face of the founder of Teach for America later on? Which you seem to delight in, by the way.
I wish I didn't delight in it as much as I did, but I did. I learned that you can be 110% sure of something. You can be 110% sure that life is over and that you're a failure and you're so terrible and you're so stupid and you're worthless, and you can be convinced of it. And I think anyone who says that they've never been in that situation where you're just like, Eeyore with a cloud above your head, I think you're lying. And I think to have that low and to just remember being there, it helps you get up a lot quicker the next time and the next time and the next time. It helps you be like, okay, well, that didn't pan out. I guess I just have to keep moving. Better just get really good at brushing myself off and moving ahead, which is, I think, that was one of the first times that I had to kind of learn that.
You talk about all the different things you're doing now and your daily routine, and you talked about all the things you did at DePauw, and as you're talking about all that stuff, it makes me feel like I need to go take a nap because it sounds like a lot of work. How do you keep balance in your life, though? Do you find things that you can, other than watching The Bachelor, you need to stop that.
It's
But
embarrassing.
how do you keep balance in your life to like make sure that you're not like Kyle all work and like no sanity?
Yeah, that's something I struggle with a lot. To this day, I think it's easy. It's really easy to get really excited about all the fun stuff. I mean, when you have a day that's just tremendous, right, where you have a fantastic, when Entrepreneur magazine calls and they say, we want to put you on the cover, and then the White House sends you an email, and you have these days and you're just like so excited, and then it's followed by a day of frustrating lows. All these ups and downs can really wear on you, and it's really hard to have balance. And the trickiest part for me is I have fantastic friends, and I have a lot of really great DePauw friends and a lot of friends in San Francisco, and they'll say things like, come out, and I say things in the back of my head. I'm like, orphans, saving the world. Detroit, you have work to do. You have stuff to do. For every hour you're out, you're dropping the ball on making an impact. And I think that's really hard and it's really toxic. And so that's something I definitely still struggle with, is having balance. So my balance, I guess, now manifests itself in some Real Housewives and The Bachelor, which are very not healthy. But I try to take breaks. I have 2 fantastic dogs that I love. And so we'll go on a walk and I'll go on runs. It doesn't sound
Tell
good.
me when you go running, you're not taking your cell phone.
No, I don't.
Okay, that's a plus.
I don't.
Looking at the DePauw students, frankly, I think sometimes DePauw students are overscheduled and overprogrammed. Do you have any advice for them how to manage that? I mean, how do you know what to keep on your schedule and what to throw overboard?
Man, I think I would have different answers if you would have asked me at different times. I say just do it all, right? Like what you live once, right? You might as well just cram it all in. Life is for the living. You should cram as much in as you can. I mean, I guess I say that, but then come graduation day, I was like, oh man, look at all these kids who got really good grades because they didn't have a double major, double minor, or maybe they did and they were just really smart, but weren't just mega hyper involved. I think my advisor told me it was kind of like a lack of focus issue that I might have had. In undergrad. So I think, there's trade-offs. You can do a couple things really well, which a lot of DePauw students excel at, or you can do a lot of different things and have a lot of fun doing it, which is kind of the Kyle approach. So I would say do whatever works for you.
You ready to take some questions?
Yes.
All right, let's hear from you.
Do we have any?
There are microphones on either side, so if you would, when you got a question, come up to the microphone so everybody can hear.
I love questions.
So you all told to research your company and you before we came to the lecture. So why is your company called Barley and Birch? And the second question is, if you were to start a company today with a new business idea and a new business model, what would that company do or sell?
Okay, so Barley and Birch, barley fields behind my childhood home, birch tree in front of it. So it was 2 iconic images from my childhood, which is really cool for me. And then 2 answers to your question. So to your second question, so I'm starting a couple other kids industry businesses in the next couple weeks. They're awesome. One of them is Play-Doh. It's going to be really cool, I promise. And then one of them is just a wooden toy company. But on a non-kids industry, because kid industry is kind of snoozy, So in a non-kids industry answer, I have thought that food and just natural eating is just such a cool industry to be in. And I've always thought that there should be some sort of like a farmer's co-op in almost every city that is kind of like a permanent farmer's market with really low profit margins itself, and kind of just this ability to kind of have like a steady, if you can't go to the farmer's market on a Saturday, you're kind of like, well, I'll just go to the grocery store, ho-hum, I'm mopey. But if farmers had this increased incentive and increased demand for their food, then I think we could really keep reinventing just heirloom growing and kind of sustainable growing and year-round growing and seasonal growing and food education and stuff like that, which is a business idea I've been thinking about a lot for some reason. So, it's a good question.
Hi, Kyle. My name's Hunter. I'm a sophomore. I have 2 quick questions. Since you're a fan of The Bachelor, I'm curious to know if you've seen The Bachelor at DePauw.
No.
Okay, well, it's on Vimeo. I highly recommend it.
Oh my God, send me the link, please.
I will. Seriously though, have you ever considered,
Keep it together, people.
serious question, have you ever considered selling barley and birch, and what would it take for you to do that?
You know, if you'd asked me that question on like every day for 30 days, you'd probably get like 27 different answers. On a good day, I'm like, this is my baby, I'm never selling. I love this company, it's what I was meant to do. And on a bad day, I'm like, someone give me a Snickers bar and a Diet Coke and I'll walk. Like, I'm gone. I'll be out. So, no, I mean, we've entertained offers in the multi-millions from investors that have wanted a percentage. And I've come so close. And then I'm just kind of like, oh, it's kind of like giving your kid up for adoption. You know, you're kind of like, oh, you'd be really good with them, but I think I just want you. So I've come really, really close. I've considered it more recently in the context of the fact that I'm 27, I'm exhausted. I've done a lot of world changing. I kind of want to take some time to just go have fun and surf on the beach and be a bona fide beach bum again. So I've thought about it a lot recently, but I'm not sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Tommy Hiller. I'm a sophomore. My question is, when you first started Barley and Birch, what was your first step in kind of obtaining manufacturing capacity? Like, did you contract it out? Did you try making the garments yourself? And then where is your current production facility?
Great question. That's a really great question. So you can sit down. You don't have to wait for me to answer. So I think the trick is when you're starting a business, you have all of these suppliers that really want your money, and they really want to just tell you whatever you need to hear, especially when you're kind of like a giggly 22-year-old surfer. And so you say like, oh, like how much do I need to buy? They're like, oh, how it works, honey, is that we do minimums of like 20,000 garments. So that bill, about $100,000. I'm like, yeah, right. So to answer your question, I started using American Apparel blanks, which is a very common choice. And that helped me meet low minimums, get our name out there until I could find suppliers that made what I wanted them to make and to my specifications. So we always we contract it out now. And actually, I was telling this story at the Women in Business meeting today. How we got our current suppliers was at this. I was meeting with our printer, and this older gentleman came over to me, and I was talking about our business model, and we were saving people all over the world, and I had big dreams, and I was 22, and I was just a dreamer, and he said, I have a present for you. Come here. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do this. And he ended up just giving me a name and a number. And it ended up being the name of a contract sewer up in the mountains of North Carolina. And I don't know if you guys know about the apparel industry, but when it was in the United States before it left for China, it was based in North Carolina until it collapsed in '94 and then again in 2004. But they're having a resurgence now because there are people that are interested in companies like mine. And my company is placing enormous fabric orders, and we're saying we need more sewers, we need more sewers, we need more cotton, we need more fabric, we need more mills, we need more everything. So it's coming back. So everything is made in North Carolina, it's grown in North Carolina, it's milled in North Carolina, and it's sewn in this secret little warehouse in the mountains of North Carolina by women whose names I will take to the grave.
Other folks?
Anyone?
Yeah, and if a couple of you have questions in mind, feel free to come line up at the microphone so you don't have to walk all the way up in between. Do you want a question from John Coffin?
I suppose so.
We can refuse that if you want.
Yes, I would
All right,
be.
go ahead, John.
I would be thrilled.
I have two questions for you. One, I want to hear more about the crazy things that you use to dye your clothes. Because
Okay.
I've heard a little bit about that, and I think
Yeah.
it's pretty neat. And then the second question is, what's your goal for Boston?
God. So the crazy things we use to dye our clothes, we use all sorts of nutty things. We use like pomegranate root and there's like a heated barley and birch staff meeting where we talked about whether or not we stood behind using cochineal, which is a red dye used from crunching bug shells. And so we had several vegan staffers. I'm also a vegan, and we had several vegan staffers who said, like, we don't do this, like, we're a kind, cruelty-free company. I'm like, it's kind of just bug shells, but, so we don't use cochineal. So we use everything from roots to marigolds to dandelions to indigo, and it's really cool because it's all grown on tiny little farms in Kentucky by farmers who were going out of business working with organizations like Monsanto, and then having a cash crop like a highly concentrated pigment that doesn't strip your soil kept a lot of them in business. So it's really fun. My goal for Boston is to finish right now because I haven't been training. I'm just coming off of a nice bout with pneumonia, but I'd say 4 hours I want to do it in, but we'll see. I did 11 miles and I was like wheezing and couldn't function, so it might be just rolling across the wheelbarrow.
Okay, I have 2 questions as well. My first being, what is your secret to getting a perfect on the LSAT? I would like to really know that. And my second being, if you have any advice for any young entrepreneurs struggling to get off the ground, what would that advice be?
Those are awesome questions. I do have secrets for both. My secret for the LSAT is this is serious here, is to read the question. This is going to be the dumbest piece of advice, but I swear it works. To read the question, take like 0.2 seconds and think about the answer, and the first things that comes into your mind, go with that answer. I think the common problem is that people get tripped up by the answers. I taught this also, so I'm telling you. And I helped one other person get it perfect too. Okay, so anyway. Second question is, I would say 3 pieces of advice. Exercise your right to negotiate. People are going to just tell you how it is. People are going to be like, here's what it's going to cost, here's what we can do it, and here's what you have to do for us. No, it took me years to realize that I had just as much bargaining power as they did, even though I was a know-nothing 22-year-old goofy kid, you know? So now I'm just a goofy 27-year-old. So I think exercising your right to negotiate and paying attention to your branding, have a sick logo and have a great website and have a great message and and communicate every part of your business to your customers. And then third, be really realistic with your budget. I've seen a lot of companies have a really great idea, take out really solid business loans, and then blow through their money and not have enough money to actually like open up on day one. So those would be my pieces of advice. And I'm always, if there's any entrepreneurs, always email me. I'm always willing to talk. You're welcome.
Hi, Nathan Cummins. I'm a senior. And I was wondering, who are some of your role models growing up in business in general?
Growing up in business, I was like, business, what? But my dad is an accountant, and so he's very conservative financially, and he's very strict, and he's very frugal. So he was definitely a role model in terms of, he's always in the back of my mind. I told a story in Women in Business about how our revenue was very high, and it was a couple years in, and someone in my staff came to me and said, we think it's time to start paying for advertising. We had never paid a cent for advertising for a couple years. And I said, I don't think we do. How much is it? And they said, it's $30 a month. And I said, oh, yeah, right. Like, what do you think? We're millionaires? And they were like, yes, that is what I think. And I just was like, oh my goodness. So being really frugal, I think, is what I learned from my dad. My hero, like I mentioned, is the founder of Patagonia, who's Yvon Chouinard, and he's my Justin Bieber. He's amazing. He got into business the same way I did, very reluctantly, just saw the ability to make a high quality product that could also have a really positive effect on the planet, and he's doing it really well. So, yeah, keep them coming.
Hi, Drew. I'm a sophomore. Yes. You say you didn't know anything about business going in. You don't really know much about education, but obviously you started this company while you were a full-time law student. How do you feel that your law degree has really helped you make this business move forward and be successful?
So full disclosure, I've known Drew since he was a young child. I'm not sure, and I get that question a lot. Like, does it help? Has it helped? I think it's helped on some levels contractually. I know contracts in and out. I don't mess with contracts. If people try to throw contracts at me, I'm like,